Welcome to Speedrunning Research, where we're trying to level up your research skills in under 30 minutes. So we do definitely want to keep track of time. Um, Tonight, what we're actually going to talk about is some AI research sidekicks. It's a little bit of a departure from the normal agenda in that we're going to talk about some research assistants that you can use that require subscriptions. They have a free version. We're going to touch on those, but we're really going to deep dive into Notebook LM tonight. There'll be another session to go deeper into some of the research assistants that I'm going to mention at the beginning. Like I said in the chat, I did drop the slides that you can refer back to. So kick back. Don't feel like you have to take notes. There is a survey for feedback and also a link to contact the librarian with a question and our playlist. And there's this adorable little ding when people join the waiting room. I love it. I've not heard that before. Okay, again, welcome to Speedrunning Research. So tonight we are going to talk about tools that you would use to help you understand research. There are obviously a ton of AI tools flooding the market. They do all sorts of different things. And so when you're connecting to some of these AI tools, you do want to think about the purpose with which they were created, right? Like if you were going to dig a hole, you wouldn't use a rake. So knowing a little bit about what these tools do and kind of using them in the context that they're supposed to be used in will significantly improve your success with them. So when we talk about some research apps, we have research apps like Consensus, Elicit, SciSpace. These are all for creating lit reviews, which we know can be a very messy and arduous process in research. They do have free tiers where Consensus, you can get 3 deep searches per month, and then you would have to pay for it per month. Elicit is two free automated reports. Then you would have to pay a hefty price for it after that. And then SciSpace has a free tier with limited use. You only get like insights from 10 papers. So those are like 3 of the I don't want to say the best tools, but maybe I'll say best tools. The best tools to look at if you're using an EI research tool for lit reviews. Research Rabbit and connected papers, they're really great for what we call citation chaining, which is finding how papers are linked with citation. So basically what both of those platforms do is they find related papers to what, you plant a seed paper in the Research Rabbit or connected paper and it goes out and it finds through the citations other papers that are related, connected in some way. They have infographics that are attached to those connections, so it can actually look really exciting and fun. They both have free tiers, but then if you want to get deeper into it or you use it more often, it's going to be a cost. And then there's Scholar-C. Scholar-C will actually take an article, an academic article, and translate it, break it down into parts, tell you what each part, what it means, what it says. It's a really powerful tool. What I'm going to show you tonight, Notebook LM does the equivalent. Scholar-C, you do get a free tier, and then you have to pay, of course, after. I have to say that I clicked into my Scholar-C account, and I haven't used it in about a year, and it was still telling me I reached my limits for summaries. So that is something to be aware of as you're using these tools. If you're finding that you're really into them, you could end up incurring some costs. So this is what Consensus looks like. Consensus, you can see it does a lot of, it searches and analyzes peer-reviewed literatures. It actually draws from about 250 million research papers, including licensed full text content from leading publishers. If the free version, you can still identify relevant papers based on abstracts, and then you get 3 deep research searches per month, which will go into those full text summaries. Consensus will synthesize studies on a topic, tell you how many sources support your research question, and create a table summarizing papers on your topic. We will look at how Notebook LM can do something similar. And these tools, they're constantly changing. So like Research Rabbit, for instance, just got a complete interface makeover. It's almost like I have to relearn how to use it. It's so different. But this is Research Rabbit, and like I said, it has you can now do searches based on keywords, or you can actually put in a relevant study and find other studies that are connected. And it has this great fun infographic that kind of explodes and moves, and there are implications here for the size of the dots, where they are in relation to each other, so how long those lines are, how they're connected, all shows the relationships between these ideas in these articles. And again, it's all based on who is citing whom. It will also give you a list of articles. I like to point my students to this as like a last stop before they say they've exhausted the literature. This is what Scholarly looks like. You can see like right away, it is breaking studies down into very small components so that you can understand what the studies are saying, and then it will give you a very clear explanation for each of these subcategories. So if you do want to get deeper into these apps, we wanted to post the video, or we have this academic influencer, Dr. Andy Stapleman, who talks about all of these tools very quickly, very flashy. He's great. He also wears great shirts. So you can always check out his explanations of the videos, but we will speed run a few of those AI tools like Consensus and Scholarly on April 14th, if you want to come back to that. So tonight, what we're really going to focus on is Notebook LM. It's free for now. It actually is open through our college's Google suite. So I will show you how to access it via your St. Mary's account. This is a tool that I love to introduce to the graduate students that I work with, people who are just sorting through an enormous amount of literature and they need to make sense of it. But what's really great about Notebook LM, besides it being free and open for us, is that you really can use it for any kind of information. So say, for instance, you are, you're an employer who has like all of these performance reviews that you have to, like, you want to go through a decade's worth of performance reviews for one particular employee. You can put them all into Notebook LM and ask Notebook LM to pull out patterns and to summarize things for you. So it really is kind of like an all-in-one tool for any kind of information, and we'll see that in more depth in a moment. So what you do need to know about Notebook LM, it is available to our campus for now. It's always been a Google product, so it's not something that they acquired and then developed. It started in Google Labs. With the information that you're putting into Notebook LM and that you're creating with Notebook LM, you do retain ownership. Each notebook will see the notebook is like a workspace, and each notebook is siloed, which means that the notebook that you do in the postpartum depression notebook is not going to get into or be influenced or influence the algorithmic censorship notebook. So they don't cross-pollinate or cross-draw information from. The other thing that's great about Notebook LM is that it does not train the model with your content. It's only reviewed by humans if you actually flag something. And then the one thing that I have to keep telling myself and reminding myself is that anything that you're creating in Notebook LM, there's always like a little button that says save to note, and that is how you retain the information. Sometimes we're so used to auto saves that we forget that we sometimes have to toggle something to save a note. So Notebook LM can help you brainstorm, it can help you organize, it can help you create, it can help you understand, and it can help you see patterns. There is a workflow to it. We'll look at what the space looks like. There's a left side that's where you put your sources, the middle is where you chat with its AI tool, and the right is where you create with it. So let's go ahead and find Notebook LM. So if you are in your St. Mary's Gmail, let's say I'm going to open up a new window here. If you go into the Google Apps and you scroll down, it's right here, Notebook LM, nice and black and white. So you want to click on that, and this is a gathering of notebooks that I've used with students and as demonstrations, as I've done some of these lessons. And so we're going to use one of these notebooks tonight, but I'll show you what happens when you actually go to create a new notebook. So it opens up a blank canvas. It's prompting you to add sources. You don't necessarily have to do that right away, but you can really upload anything, videos, anything from your drive, things you've copied and pasted. There's so much that that it reads. So it'll read a PDF, it'll read an image, it'll read docs, it'll read and deconstruct audio, and more. So that's super exciting. Here's what I was talking about, the workflow. It's meant as a workspace. This is the panel where you put your sources. The sources is what the AI bot draws from. So when you're engaging with this part right here, it's looking for information from here and only here. It's not, it gives you the option to search the web for sources. I haven't played around with this yet, but really it won't do that unless you prompt it to. So really any sources that you're going to add, and I'll show you what that looks like. You would put them over here, and that's where the AI is going to draw information from. This panel is considered the studio panel, and I swear every time I click in here, they're adding more things you can create with Notebook LM. There is an audio feature where you can take articles or even performance reviews or whatever document you're working with, even if it's your own writing. You say you're a creative writer and you're going to put a bunch of notes and stuff in there. You can actually turn it into an audio file. It'll turn it into a podcast that you can listen to, which is really exciting. It does do videos. It'll make mind maps, both of the sources you put in or just of a free write that you write. You can make a mind map. We've done this in Counseling 600, where the students come in the first or second class and they sit down and start to brainstorm the topics they want to do, and then we create a mind map. You can make reports and flashcards and quizzes. You can make infographics, slide decks, data tables. Again, this is always expanding every time I look in Notebook LM. So the notebook that we're going to work with today is one that I started about algorithmic censorship. And the reason I got interested in this topic is because my son is telling me all the workarounds that people are doing to not curse or to get away with in like games like Roblox, how to get away with certain language that would normally be censored. And so it's a form of algorithmic censorship. And the phrase algorithmic censorship can really go both ways, right? It can be what you're doing to get around the algorithm, but then it can also be what the algorithm is deciding to show you or not show you. Anyway, this is the topic I decided I wanted to look into, and I don't want to play that. Oops, not yet. What I wanted to do was show you that I did this free write. So this is sort of what I wanted to talk about, like I just blurted my thinking out here. And then I converted it to a source, which would take the content here, and you can see it's put it over on this side. If I wanted to do a little bit more with this note, I could uncheck these boxes and say, make me a mind map of my free write. And some of these things sometimes take, some of these things actually take a few minutes to generate, which is why the audio file started playing, because I did that ahead of time. But here we go. Here's my mind map. So here's what I wrote about, and this is how it's interpreting it and grouping it. And what I would tell students when I'm looking at this list is which idea has the most clusters. And it looks like this one up here is information filtering impacts. And so maybe that's where my passion and my curiosity is going to land the most. So that's the mind map feature. So I'm going to show you how to import information. So you would just go to add sources. You can literally drag and drop things in here. I'm going to click on upload files. I have a folder here, and I'm going to click on a couple of resources that I found that I think are going to be helpful, interesting to my project. And you'll notice that the Notebook LM has put them all over here as sources. And as soon as you put a source into it, the AI starts working. And so it's given me a snapshot of one of the articles, which is this algorithmic censorship this is the plebeian model, sorry, the plebeian algorithm. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what? The what? So this is where Notebook LM becomes really exciting and dynamic, is that we can actually ask it, like, can you give me the definitions, I'm going to say main concept definitions in this article. I'm not going to spell it right. And so you'll notice I've only checked off this source. So this is the only source it's drawing information from. What this is really, how this is really exciting is that we know that the academic information that we ask our students to find, and even like, faculty and staff, when they're finding information, it's not necessarily written for a general audience. So the information, that language in it can be pretty inaccessible. But with a tool like this, you can go in and be like, okay, give me the definitions. Let me know what this means. Um, and you'll notice there are these little numbers here. And that is the AI tool pointing to exactly where in the article it is finding that information. So I'm actually going to ask this to rephrase in eighth grade English, because it still looked a little confusing to me. I haven't, okay. So the main idea of the article is a new system called the plebeian algorithm. It's a way for social media sites to find and remove fake news by letting people who use the site decide what is true rather than just letting a big company make all the rules. So that compared to the plebeian algorithm is defined as an automated system for controlling the spread of misinformation on social media by leveraging a democratic process. Its primary goal is to reduce misinformation while maintaining individual freedoms, such as the freedom of expression. You can see what a gigantic difference that makes. And for somebody who is new to research, who is outside the field that they're looking in, or they're just learning the jargon, this is a game changer. For somebody is looking at articles in English, if they're looking at articles in English and it's not their first language, this is also a game changer. It really levels the research playing field and how we consume information. So that's me asking for definitions. It looks like there's about one, two, three, four, five definitions in this particular article that I can pay attention to. What I want to do now is I'm going to check I'm going to select all my sources, and I am going to ask for a thematic outline. When we talk to students about using these AI tools, we talk to them about using it in um, ethical ways. And one of the main ways, obviously, the school is still defining what that means and what that looks like. But one of the sort of general rule of thumb that at least me as a librarian, how I phrase it is like, if you're using these tools to brainstorm, to organize, to make connections, to preview what it is you're going to spend more time on, that falls within the ethical use. And if you're doing a research report, you're going to report that you're using these in your methodology. Like, I use this to summarize, or I use this to outline. Once you're taking the words from this panel right here, then that's when you have to start citing the information that's coming out of it. Okay, so thematic outline of all of these topics. So evolution of content moderation, social and linguistic impacts, use perception of justice and fairness, strategies of resistance. Oh, let's keep it still going. And then we have the democratic alternatives of the plebeian algorithm. So this is what I'm seeing in this is really kind of this journey through a story of how the algorithm is changing and moderating our content, and really what we can do sort of as a final thing to take back control of our content. That's a real quick summary for me. Don't know if it's accurate. I could ask the algorithm to test that for me. Um, so I am going to ask it if, okay, I wrote the censorship by algorithm brainstorm. Do these articles support those ideas? And where are my research gaps? Now, I did mention to you that anytime you're creating something in the notebook, you need to save it. I've not done any of that because I forget. So this is the place where you click Save to Note, and what it'll do is it will take that and it'll put it over here in the note section. So I could go through here and I could save all of my notes. It's better to do it after you read them through them and you decide that you want to keep the information. Okay. So support for my brainstormed ideas. So filter bubbles and echo chambers. It looks like the first three articles that it looked at are going to support my idea for filter bubbles and echo chambers. It looks like a couple others will support the negativity bias and confirmation bias. And then, yeah, we could go through here. So it looks like, yeah, these articles work. Where are areas to expand? The list is clearly long because I just very quickly gathered these four sources to do this little preview. So the other thing, like, so in the slide deck, you'll see that we're actually going to have prompts that you can take away and try with. So one of the things students get asked to do a lot is to put their sources in conversation with each other, and that can be very confusing. This is a tool that will help the students do that. I think probably the thing that's most appealing to people is that you can take this very heavy text, or this very heavy text, this very dense text, and you can turn it into something you can listen to. That's a great accessibility um, tool, but it's the way that they do it is creative. So the article how algorithmic censorship is changing the way we're thinking. I turned that into a podcast.
Taking over your social media feeds lately.
Oh, it really is everywhere right now.
Right. You might be reading a caption.
Can you hear that?
Global event.
Or watching a video about a complex
see.
social issue.
Yes.
Exactly. And suddenly you're hit with this strange, almost baby-like dialect.
Yeah, words that look like typos.
Or completely out of place emojis. Or phrasing that sounds like a toddler trying to describe a crime scene.
It's definitely jarring.
It is. We're talking about a highly complex, secretly evolving language happening right under our noses. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today is to unpack how invisible algorithmic censorship is fundamentally altering the English language, basically creating a modern-day covert dialect.
It's a massive shift in how human beings communicate, and it's happening in real time.
It really is.
So I don't know about you, but this is like way more engaging to listen to, and you could do it while you're driving, than it is to. So when I look at articles, sometimes my eyes just blur over just automatically. But this is such a new and refreshing way to take in the information, to feel committed, like to feel engaged with the information, to feel invested in the information, to feel curious about the information. And it's really impressive.
Guide us through the mechanics of this. We are looking at a December 2025 article from Reason.
That's the Los Angeles-based libertarian magazine, right?
Right. It's written by Matthew Petty, and it's titled, Algorithmic Censorship is Changing the Way We Talk.
Okay. I would want to keep listening, but we're running out of time. Okay. So that is Notebook LM in a nutshell. You can also, like with other Google documents and sheets and slides, you can share it with other people and you can work on it together and collaboratively. I've had a couple students that I've introduced it to in our research sessions, and they've gone off and they've expanded these notebooks to help them organize information. It really is a tool that is going to significantly help our doctoral students, people who are writing dissertations, again, like any kind of person in admin who has to sift through a whole bunch of information, especially things like program reviews or even like handbooks. Like I know Gina, when we first had the new handbook come out, the new employee handbook, Gina sat and compared like everything in the old handbook to what's in the new handbook. And Notebook LM is a tool that she could have uploaded both of those to that and asked it to pull out all the differences and all the changes in at lightning speed. So these are prompts that you can go ahead and try at home if you feel like playing around and using Notebook LM. There's summarize and translate. You can use it to decode. Again, you can use it to organize. And then there's those special sauce requests like, can you put these sources in conversation with each other? Or can you create a study guide based on this resource for me to check my understanding? It's also a place where students could upload their readings from class and have a study guide or flashcards or something created. So there's so many things that you can do with Notebook LM. There is a video, I'm passing it through it. It's actually a video that was made for teachers because this is one of the AI programs that is welcomed into secondary education. So high schools are embracing it. Haven't heard yet if middle schools are using it, but it definitely is something that people can get behind in terms of it expediting our process. Okay, here's the feedback form. We are doing a raffle for tonight's, for you attending tonight's session. You can scan the QR code to leave us feedback. There's also this bit.ly link. I'll leave this up on the screen for just a few minutes. And then our next session is March 17th, which is cheat codes for citing, and it'll also be at 7:30. But before we go, I just want to ask, do you have any questions?
Yeah, can I ask a quick question, Julie? Is this something that one could use like in a senior capstone course and then have the students share their notebook, I guess notebook page or whatever you can call it LM with you as the instructor and like you can check in from time to time like how they're using it?
That would be amazing, right? Like, because the students can upload all of their own notes, all of their sources, everything they've written so far. I think what I would say that you might want to look into before greenlighting that is looking at how can you lock down the notebooks. I know that Google Docs do allow you to lock them, and maybe that would just be the only thing. But if they're only sharing it with you as the professor, there's less risk of you, messing with things. But if they're sharing it with each other, that would be the only thing I would highlight.